What's up everyone, Colt Capperrune here. Thanks for stopping by for another video. I really appreciate it. It's about 487 degrees here in Nashville, and so I have switched to iced coffee, but I still want to cheers you guys. It just sounds so good. It's a good sound. At the end of the day, I'm kind of basic. Anyway, cheers to y'all. Thanks for watching. Okay. Should you go to school for music? So the first question I think you should answer if you're considering going to school for music is, what exactly do you want to do? Do you want to be a producer or just an audio engineer? Do you want to be on the music business side where you want to work for a publisher or for a label? Do you want to be an A&R for a label? Do you want to master? Do you want to, be an acoustician or a studio designer? Do you want to get into music law or be an entertainment lawyer? So going to school for music is a very encompassing umbrella, and you should probably narrow it down a little bit, what you think you'd like to do at least, before deciding whether or not you should go to school. Now, in my opinion, if you want to go into music business and work for a publisher or work for a label, it's not gonna hurt to go to school. It's probably not a bad idea. If you want to get into music law and be an entertainment lawyer, obviously you have to go to school for that. If you want to be an acoustician and be a studio designer, it certainly will not hurt to go to school for that either. Although several of the people that I know that are studio designers and acousticians, I don't believe went to school for it. They're just really passionate about it and learned a lot about it and became good at it. So most of those things I generally think you either should go to school for, or you have to go to school for, or it wouldn't be a bad idea to go to school for. Moving on from those specific fields though, my opinion starts to shift a little bit. If you're wanting to be a producer or an engineer, or if you're wanting to be a mix engineer, if you're trying to be a songwriter or anything performance-based, a guitarist or a session player, I think there's a couple things you need to consider before going to school for these specific fields. Now, I want to preface this part of the video by saying that I don't think that school is bad. I think there's a lot of value in going to school, especially depending on the school or the program that you might be considering enrolling in. I think that you absolutely will learn some things from school. But does that mean that you should go? Let's try to break this down. So the first thing I think that everyone should consider is that the vast majority of people that go to school for just about anything don't end up working in the field that they got their degree in. Now, this ratio gets even more lopsided when we get into the creative side and the arts side. The vast majority of people that have a degree in something musically related don't ever end up working in the music industry. And while I haven't taken an actual poll on this per se, just based on myself and the people that I know, the vast majority of people that are in the music business and that are full-time, specifically in the music production side and the performance side, don't have a degree and never went to school for it. But let's take music production, for instance. Let's say that you want to be a producer or a mix engineer, something on the studio side, because I imagine most of you watching are going to be on that side. However, these same principles should apply to just about everything music related. Now, between all the special programs and all the universities and community college programs out there, there are thousands of kids or young adults graduating every single year with a degree in something musically related. Unfortunately, a lot of these audio engineer students would like to get a job at a studio. That's kind of the holy grail. I was absolutely there once myself too. Moving to Nashville, my very, very first goal was to get a job at Blackbird Studios here in town. The issue with this approach, unfortunately, lies in the fact that there are thousands of young adults graduating each year with only dozens of open positions each year. We've got big studios going out of business left and right, and just since I've moved here to Nashville, more than a dozen big iconic studios have shut their doors permanently just in the past 5 years. And so those dozens of jobs that are available each year are actually shrinking every single year. So what this actually means is that a huge percentage of people that are full-time in the music business or in the music industry are actually entrepreneurs. They're actually running their own business and they've kind of carved their own path. And this is by far the most common way to have a career in anything music related. Now, I actually spoke at Belmont University here in Nashville, which is a really popular music school. And the topic of the talk that I gave was how to make a living in the modern music era. It's a very interesting thing that so many of their guest speakers that came into the university to speak were dudes and ladies that had been in the industry for decades and were extraordinarily successful. Unfortunately, a lot of those stories weren't super relatable because those people kind of came up in a completely different era, and their path that they took to their successes is basically not available for anyone graduating in these times today. So I did a little bit of research on Belmont, and I come to find out that it costs $50,000 a year to go to Belmont. Now this does include tuition and room and board, but $50,000. That's a lot of money. So certainly a percentage of these young adults that are going to Belmont and other universities like this could be graduating with a $200,000 student debt. And a percentage of them are hoping to land a job at a place like Blackbird, being a house engineer, making $15 an hour. And so herein lies the conundrum that this situation kind of arises. Is it even possible to rack up $200,000 in student debt, and then the first thing that you do out of school is be an intern or a runner free of charge, or maybe if you're super, super lucky, you get a house engineering spot making $15 or maybe even $20 an hour. So at this point, the question of should you go to school for music really ultimately becomes a business decision. Is it financially responsible or even financially possible to rack up $200,000 in student debt and then have any shot at making a career out of music, getting a job, making $15 an hour? Can you even afford your student loan payment on $15 an hour? So certainly there are cheaper options out there. There's a lot of programs, the Blackbird Academy, GIT, like there's a whole bunch of programs, Full Sail, that are much less expensive than a university. However, I think the same principles still apply, and so you should ask yourself, is it financially worth it? Are you going to learn awesome things going to a program or to a university for music? Yes, absolutely. Of course you will learn an enormous amount, and of course it can potentially open some doors for you. Will you actually learn everything you need to know? Absolutely, 100% certainly not. So generally my thoughts on should you go to school for music production or performance, if you have enough in savings to cover the entire program or the entire degree, it's worth considering going for it. If you have parents or family that's willing to flip the bill for your education, it's worth considering going for it. However, if you're gonna take out student loans and you're gonna go into debt for these programs, it becomes a lot harder for me to recommend them. So what should you do? I can only speak from my own experience and from those people that I see around me. I'll drop a link to a video right here that is kind of my story going from the very beginning to how I charted on Billboard, if you'd like to see that in-depth story. But as of for this video, so this is a standalone video, I personally did not go to school for music. I have zero formal training in anything music, except I took a few guitar lessons, I guess. But like music production, zero formal training. What I did instead of paying for schooling is I invested every single spare dime that I ever made in my entire adult life into music gear, and I just started doing it. A little bit of this was a kind of dumb luck. I was kind of too stupid to realize I couldn't do it. My very first record that I produced was for my own band, and it turned out pretty good because I was just like, well, someone else can do it. They're not any smarter than me, so I guess I'll give it a shot, Now, in full disclosure, this attitude has created some problems for me throughout my life, but generally speaking, this, well, someone else can do it, so I can do it too, attitude is kind of the reason why I've gotten where I am. Coffee break. The things I have going for me is I'm extremely ambitious and I'm extremely driven. Especially in my 20s and early 30s, I was very much willing to take risks, both financially and with business ventures. I don't know where it came from, but I actually have some decent business sense and a decent mind for marketing. And there is some level of talent mixed in there as well. So I think even if you decided to go to school for music, you still need all of those things in order to actually make a career out of this. And I think regardless of your formal training, if you have a degree or a certificate from any music program and you lack all of these things, unfortunately, you probably won't make it anyway. But what this means, in my opinion, the good side of this, the upside of this, is that the people that are gonna have a career in music, the people that are destined, if you will, to have a career in music, they're probably gonna have a career regardless of if they go to school or if they don't go to school. The downside to this is that the people that won't end up with a career in music probably won't, regardless of if they go to school or not. And that's a sucky thing to hear, I know, but it is, in my opinion, probably the truth. So I hope this helped you decide whether or not you should go to school for music. I hope this gave you some confidence that it's entirely possible to do this thing without going to school for music. And I hope if you do decide to go to school for music, that you choose a great program and are financially responsible about your entire education path. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon next to the subscribe tab. Give me a thumbs up on this one. Drop me a comment. Let me know if you have or will be going to school for music, or if you think it's a complete waste of time and money. I'd love to hear from all you guys. And that'll do it for me today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Oh, coffee.